Welcome, everyone, to What Do You Do with a BA in Theater, presented by Dallas Summer Musical's Education and Community Partnerships Department. My name is Seth Johnson, and I'll be your host for this series. I would like to introduce you to a very special guest, Amanda. Amanda, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, all. I'm Amanda Guerrero. I went to school with Seth. I have a degree in communication and a minor in theater. I do stage management in the local Houston area with a theater called Mildred's Umbrella, which focuses on the works of women here in Houston. I'm very proud to be part of this theater company, along with some of the smaller theaters here in Houston. Today, we're going to talk about life post-grad and what to do with your degree and the realities of post-college.
Yeah, we are. So Amanda, you made the move to Houston after you graduated. What did you do when you first got there in terms of like finding the survival job and finding the career that you wanted to be in?
Well, in terms of survival job, I am a legal assistant. I've worked at a few firms here in Houston. It's important to have a day job and to understand that theater is this amazing and wonderful thing, but you have to be able to support yourself. Making sure that you have a roof over your head, food to eat in your belly, and money to make your payments are very important, and they shouldn't be put on the back burner to necessarily follow a dream. But you should never put your dream on the back burner either. Here in Houston, I have met so many people who've been able to find this beautiful, beautiful balance of having a day job and then having their passion and their creations, whether it's writing, stage management, directing. A majority of the people I've actually met in Houston do manage both of them very well, because theater, as we all know, is mainly done after 5 o'clock at night. So you work your day job, it goes really well. And then you take about an hour for yourself and you go start rehearsal, start preparing for show, depending on whatever part of production that you're currently in. Everyone's very understanding, especially I've met lots of people in the area who have, and I look up to them quite a bit because they are doing it all. They are working, they are managing their families, and they still have their dream. And it's a lot of communication, co-parenting, and just will and a want to make it happen. And that's the biggest thing in all of this, is you have to want to make it happen. Because it does get hard, it does get tiring. Finding the balance can be really hard, but you have to want it. That's for sure.
So, Amanda, tell me about being a legal assistant. What is that, and how do you like it? What's your favorite parts of it?
So being a legal assistant, I am in charge of managing a lawyer. I make sure all the stuff gets done, pretty closely tied to stage management, actually. I make sure everything's organized. I make sure everything's calendared. I make sure that everyone is on the same page. Being a legal assistant is really awesome because, one, it's a steady line of work. And even now in this pandemic, I am lucky that I still get to work from home. I do go into the office sometimes because I work in litigation, and litigation does not stop for anyone. The courts do not stop. So I'm very thankful for that. If anything, my job is just making sure that the things get done and that people are on the same page. And you can actually take your theater skills, especially if you're in stage management, which is where I've really found my life and my happy place. And you can really apply that into real world situations, because being the person who is organized and being the person who can keep everything together in a high stress situation and still remain calm is highly valued. It is very, very highly valued. That is a skill that should be valued.
Mm-hmm. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you can stage manage, you will always have a job. There is an abundance of positions available open for stage managers within the theater world. And then it's such a transferable skill. People want to work with talented, good people, and stage management is a great gateway for that.
And that's incredibly true. Going off of that note, what I found when I first started in Houston, I was lucky to get into my first show by an alumni, and the people you're going to meet in college are very important, and it's important to present yourself in a good manner and to have good relationships with people, because that could help you later on when it comes to finding a job. I met an alumni named Bree, and she helped me get into theater here in Houston. She introduced me to a few people, and then I got my first show, and the artistic director was really impressed what I was able to do. Being present and giving your all and answering emails in a timely manner, you laugh, but it's very
Yeah, no,
important.
I laugh because I agree.
Like, it's little things like that. Being early, being on time, checking in on your actors, finding out where people's progress are. Little things you're like, oh yeah, that should be easy, will really wow people. It
Mhm.
really will. And then next thing you know, your number is getting shared with all of the other theaters in Houston. I myself have received a bunch of random phone calls or emails from people I don't know asking, are you available to stage manage? And it's hard sometimes because, and this is something I do want to make note of.
Mhm.
When you make a commitment to a show, do not bail on the show.
Yeah.
Even if like a better offer with more money comes in, do not bail on the show, because that hurts your reputation as a stage manager or an actor.
Mm.
Going towards the best opportunity is, I understand how it's tempting, that there will be repercussions for that. And
Mm.
when you make a commitment, you need to stick to it. It's something that you want to do it, but don't.
Yeah. Theater is a surprisingly small world. Like, I know it seems like, especially in Texas, like, oh yeah, everyone knows everyone. That's kind of a given. But even in the larger cities, New York, Chicago, we all know each other. And if we don't, we know somebody who does know somebody, and we've worked with each other, and we have that communication going on. So it is really important to show kindness to everyone you meet and make responsible decisions. And if you do make that kind of commitment, it is important that you follow through, especially as stage management. So Amanda, how has your stage management career changed from the college stage manager into the real world stage manager?
I will say that I had a very unique college experience.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, with Texas A&M, our program started to diminish while we were there, and a lot of the students, specifically a very strong and bright student, decided he wasn't going to let that stop him, and he created his own theater company and was producing shows. So while I was in college, I was doing really big, fully realized productions.
Mm-hmm.
And that was wonderful and amazing, having a full shop, having full lighting. I know this may sound crazy, but actually having boards
Oh yeah, no.
were like, I didn't realize how much of a luxury it was until I was doing shoestring theater, which is a theater with a tiny budget. People are coming together because they love it, and they are not going to let anything stop them from doing this show or creating their art. And it's something that they're very proud of. Because I had this really unique experience, I want to say that I was lucky when I went into Houston, because a lot of the theaters here in Houston, the arts aren't exactly always heavily supported.
Mm-hmm.
We have money, we can pay our actors, which is awesome. Never do anything for free if you're good at it. Lesson number one, get something. But because of that, I was able to transition very well.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a few shows here in Houston that haven't had boards. I've done shows where it's completely run off a computer program, which is a little fun and tricky to figure out when you're programming a board. If there's one thing I've learned, if you're a stage manager, you're not always going to have a props master. You're not always going to have stage hands. You're not always going to have all the resources you need, which that means it falls on you. And you don't say no. You say, what can I do to help?
Yeah.
If anything, going from college to here, it wasn't too big of a transition, because while I was in college, I was doing the exact same thing that I'm doing here.
Hmm.
learning how to fundraise, learning how to do things on your own, learning how to be capable and help. Very important. Never say, that's not necessarily my job.
Hmm.
If you have the time in the hand, I say firmly do it. It'll make you stand out, that's for sure.
Especially when you're starting out, you'll get to the point where, like, if you pursue stage management full time and are equity, and then it becomes like, oh yeah, legally I cannot touch this thing. But if you are working in those shoestring theaters and theaters that are tight on budget and stuff, usually it's more rewarding, and you make those kind of compromises because you're doing it for the art itself, which I always think is a beautiful thing to do. If you haven't done it before, definitely do it while you're in college and have that kind of safety net, or right after college, where you can experience just like the the really big impact, I guess, a unique art experience like that will have on yourself and on the community around you. Yeah. So Amanda, before we wrap up the interview, I've been asking everybody. So if you could talk to your high school self, what piece of advice would you give to yourself before, heading off to college?
Theater isn't a waste. It's the greatest thing that's ever going to and will continue to happen to you. Don't let anyone, especially your family, tell you not to follow what you love to do, because there's always a way to find balance, and you should never compromise on what you want to do, and you shouldn't let somebody's opinion stop you from doing that. Fun fact, when I went to college, I had no intention of doing theater. I made it one semester before I went stir crazy. I took a theater class that my family was not happy about. And then after that, I lived in that building. I took so many theater classes, I honestly should have graduated with a degree.
Yeah, that minor is not really a minor. I can attest.
No,
It is
it's not.
a major.
Honestly, I was about 3 classes away from having a full
Yeah,
degree. But
yeah.
thank you for interviewing me, and thank you for your time, Seth.
Thank you. At this point of our conversation, I'm going to insert a good old-fashioned musical guest right here.
Oh.
Will he like me when we meet? Will that shy and quiet girl he's going to see be the girl that he's imagined me to be? Will he like me? Will he like the girl he sees? If he doesn't, will he know enough to know that there's more to me than I might always show? Will he like me? Will he know that there's a world of love waiting to warm him? I'm hoping that his eyes and ears won't misinform him. Will he like me? Who can say? How I wish that we could meet another day. It's absurd of me to carry on this way. I'll try not to. Will he like me? He's just got to. When I am in my room alone and I write, thoughts come easily, words flow fluidly then. That's how it is when I'm alone. But tonight, there's no hiding behind my paper and pen. Will he know that there's a world of love waiting to warm him? How I like me? I don't know. All I know is that I'm tempted not to go. It's insanity for me to worry so. I'll try not to. Will he like me? He's just got to. Will he like me? Will he like me?
That was awesome! Yay!
Yay!
Thank you so much for listening and for being a part of the series. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments below. If you need anything, remember that Dallas Summer Musicals is a resource for you. We're here to help. We're happy to help. Stay safe, wash your hands, and we'll see you next time.